Do you guys ever think about how much our brains absolutely hate change? And it's not even bad change either. It's like good change as well. Any kind of thing that is out of your regular comfort zone, our brain is going to fight it because our brain operates on certainty. And it will always fight uncertainty because it kind of fears the unknown. And you have to find a way to like train yourself out of that almost so that you are able to embrace all kinds of change in your life. Because this goes beyond just bad or hard change. This can be positive blessings happening in your life, and your brain cannot fathom the change or the differences that you have to make to step into that. And it will keep you from growing, and it'll keep you in a comfort zone that's actually you being complacent. If you are new here, welcome to the Club of for Learning and for Healing. I am your host, the Real Mel B, and this is the Thought Daughter Podcast. Our brain is completely conditioned on patterns, habits, and things that we know for sure. As a survival safety instinct, our brain kind of does this thing where it will try to keep us in a complacent place where we know everything, we know everyone, we know what's going on, we know what's going to happen, because it fears the unknown due to not knowing if there's danger. And I feel like this shows up a lot within our growth, our goals, and the whole general sense of anyone kind of going from one place of their life to another, anyone kind of fixing their life, upgrading their habits, different things like that. Our brain is going to fight and fight and fight to keep you in the same spot because it rather know what's going on, even if it means being in a toxic, unsafe environment, rather than to take the risk, take the leap, and walk into a space where you are not fully sure about something. And there's a little bit of risk in anything. Like when you go to achieve your dreams, when you go to make a big move, there's always going to be a little bit of risk. And it's 100% valid to always have, a little bit of like anxiety with it, because like change is big. Change is hard and it requires a lot out of us. Before I embraced change, it wasn't that I did not want to change. It was more so things were very hard to change, and I was experiencing more of that kind of like fear of the unknown rather than like some sort of like stubbornness with it, But I guess at the root of that stubbornness in a lot of people is literally the fear of not knowing what could happen. It's relinquishing control over what you know. Our brain loves control. Our brain absolutely loves to be in charge, to know what's going on, to be able to predict patterns and have everything set up. And when we are put in situations where we have to give up control, we have to just kind of take the leap of faith and hope for the best. That is like terrifying. And it's so scary because you really do not know what can happen. And when you don't have, like control over it, it's almost like you have to prepare yourself for whatever life just kind of like throws at you and be ready to roll with the punches. Which is why I think embracing change is one of the harder things that a lot of people struggle with heavily, because they don't know how, and they just like, people really grab on to wanting that control. Like they just don't know how to kind of allow themselves that peace with the unknown. And it's something you have to grow into, which is totally fine. It's all part of the growth and the healing lesson. And the reason that I say that you have to almost like train your brain to be at peace with change, to be at peace with, taking risks, is because your brain will in fact choose certainty, even if it's at the cost of yourself. And that's why sometimes we revert back to bad things, bad people, bad habits during change, because our brains fear it, and it will mask fear of growth as comfortability. I saw a really good quote that says, your brain will mask a retreat as a reasonable response because it's trying to keep you within that certainty. It's trying to keep you within the comfortable bounds of what you know. And honestly, if you want to change your life, if you want to do radical healing and radical growth, if you want to get out of the same place that you continue to be in, if you want to get out of the same situations that you continue to come across, you have to get uncomfortable. You have to learn to be okay with getting uncomfortable, because change is uncomfortable. You are giving up everything you know to give yourself something new. When I decided to up and move across the country to my dream state from my hometown, I had never lived anywhere else. I had lived 22 years of my life in my hometown around the same people, around the same situations, and I just remember thinking to myself how done I was with the same old thing and how I just craved something new. I craved change. I wanted some sort of radical change in my life. And the decision to pretty much uproot, pack up my entire life, and move across the country was 1000% uncomfortable. I was definitely, like scared. It was like a risk. It was different. It was uncomfortable in the aspect of change. It was also uncomfortable driving in a car for like 16 and a half hours. But I was moving to a place that I had never been, around people that I didn't know. It's not the neighborhood I grew up in. It's not the people I grew up around. I have to learn like my way around the city and different things like that. All of these new uncomfortable growth type things. And I just kind of had to learn to make peace with that. I had to learn to be okay with it. And I told myself, I have to get uncomfortable in order to spark this catalyst for change in my life that's going to allow me to be comfortable later down the line. Because even though I was in my hometown and it was everything I knew, it was the certainty that my brain kind of needed. I was not happy. And even in the midst of the uncomfortable moments of change, of, learning all the new places around here, making new friends, meeting new people, having to kind of like do everything all over again, I found peace and happiness, and I was able to really see the good in what change was going to do for me. Change is what keeps like our life going along. We are ever changing creatures, we are ever growing creatures, we're ever learning. So change is a natural part of our lives. Change is a natural part of our humanity as a whole. And you won't get anywhere new without change. You won't have anything different in your life without change. You are either going to avoid change your entire life and you're going to stay complacent, you're going to stay in the same spot, and you're going to sit there and wonder, why isn't anything changing? Or you're going to learn to get uncomfortable. You're going to learn to make peace with change, and you are going to allow yourself to have trust in yourself and take that leap of faith and take the risk to absolutely change your life, to retrain your brain and tell your brain, change is good for us. Change is how we're going to grow. Change is how we're going to step into the best versions of ourselves. Change is how you are going to absolutely flip your life from the situations you don't want to be in to the exact life that you want to live. The price of your new life is your old life, meaning you have to change things. You have to be okay with allowing certain things to die off, to let it go, and allowing the door and the space to be open for new things to come in order for you to absolutely change your life. And I don't blame my brain for wanting to keep me safe, because that's what that is when it relies on certainty and control in the situation. That is your brain trying to keep you safe. That is your brain trying to, it's kicking in this survival instinct of, we don't really know, so we don't know if this is dangerous or if it's safe, so like let's just not. But sometimes our brain can confuse safety with complacency, and if you do not train your brain, if you do not open yourself to change, you will think and tell yourself that, I'm just being safe, I'm just sticking to what I know, I'm just playing to my strengths and trying nothing new. But in reality, you think that's keeping you safe. It's keeping you complacent. It's keeping you in the same spot. It's keeping you stuck. And it's hindering your own personal growth. I'm not going to sit here and act like change isn't scary and say that people shouldn't fear change, because I definitely do understand why it gives people a lot of like anxious feelings. When I was going through a lot of the really big changes in my life, I was definitely anxious. Did I still do it anyway? And I went full throttle on it? Yes, that's just personally the kind of person that I am. But I'm still human at the end of the day. And I 1000% still felt those feelings of anxiety, of fear, of not knowing, what could possibly happen, not knowing how things are going to go, kind of giving up that control, of needing to always know everything and being okay with, not knowing certain things, like how they're going to go. Because when you're complacent, you kind of, know how situations usually going to end up. But when you're operating in open space for change, you don't really know how things can end up. You're honestly just putting faith in the best case scenario. And that's not to say that the best case scenario won't happen, but you need to have that faith to put yourself out there, to have hope in that, and to understand that no matter what happens, change is good and change will teach you something. You will either find out that the method all along hasn't worked and you need to do a new one, or you will be presented with a new method like right off bat, and it just really helps your life move along. But either way, 1000% embrace change, embrace the new, take those risks, and honestly watch how your life changes for the better. That is all that I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure you check out my link in the description box below. It has all of my links on there. You can find me on TikTok, Instagram. You can find the Thought Daughter podcast on Spotify as well. My clothing brand shop is also linked in that description. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe here to my YouTube channel so you can keep up with more that I do. And I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.